What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have a comparison video between the New Balance Tequila V4 Plus and the New Balance Tequila V5. Now with the new generation of the Tequila, they do make a few changes coming from the Tequila V4 Plus, and the boot overall just feels a little bit different. And today I'm just going to talk about the differences. So starting off with the upper in the Tequila V4 Plus, we did have hype on it, and this upper was just super soft, super pliable. It was probably like the softest upper on the market. You could put these on and they were basically good to go, like straight out of the box. There wasn't really much of a break-in period. And yeah, these were awesome. The only downside was that over time they just became a little too soft, and they kind of felt not sloppy, but they just didn't feel as structured, especially here in the midfoot. Like over time, I just felt like I was rolling over just a little too much. This also could have been, at least for me, I did get the wide fit variant over the standard variation, and these felt a little too wide. Even though I do have a wider foot, I think these were just a little too wide. So I think it would have been better if I just got like the standard version. So with the Tequila V5, they ditched the Hyponic upper with a synthetic leather upper, and this is called Dynamic Touch Tech, I believe. And yeah, this upper is still pretty soft. This one looks soft and pliable, which it is, but this one is still very, soft and pliable as well. I feel like the only difference is that this one has a little bit more structure to it. So even though it's soft, pliable, when you're running around cutting, it just feels a little bit more structured here in the midfoot, which is nice. And so they kind of fixed the issue that the HypoNet had. That yes, it was super soft, it was really pliable, but it just lacked structure. This one, it's still soft, still pliable. It feels really nice on feet, but it's still structured here in the midfoot. And so I'd really like the change that they did. I also just like that they made it different from the Furon, just because they were both HypoNet, and now you just have a distinction between the Furon and the Tequila, which I think is good, just because I felt like these were just a little too similar. But yeah, this for me, I really like this upper material that they used. In terms of the touch, the Tequila did have a thinner touch on the ball. Like this upper honestly wasn't super padded. It was on the thinner side. So it did feel like kind of a knitted speed boot in a way. Um, the synthetic upper here just has a little bit more cushion, more padding to it, which feels really nice. It's not overly thick, not like overly padded, but you just feel that little bit of like a dampened feel when like juggling or like touching the ball, passing. It just feels really, really nice. So it is different from like a knitted upper, or at least this knitted upper that is on the thinner side. This one for sure just feels a little bit more padded and more cushion. Something else that we do get is the micro texture in the form of these dots. In the Tequila, we had a little bit, but honestly, it wasn't that noticeable, especially here. This really didn't do anything, in my opinion, didn't really add any grip. It just felt like a normal knitted upper. This, on the other hand, it just adds a little bit more of a rough texture, and it feels pretty gritty. And I find this similar to the Adidas F50 with their like sprint web texture, and it just adds a little bit of grip, not a whole ton. It's not like a sticky grip either. It's more like a rough, like just sandpaper like feel. And it's very subtle. You don't notice it a lot, but it is there, and I actually really appreciate it. I actually like the way it feels. It's not overly sticky. It just adds just a little bit of extra grip. Now the lacing system is basically the same. You guys can actually see this one goes just a little bit deeper than this one, but they still feel pretty fine. Because this was hyponic, just felt like there was a little bit of movement here in the toe box. This one, this upper is still pretty soft, so it does feel like it moves just a little bit. But they honestly feel fine. They feel pretty similar, and the shaping itself is pretty similar as well. They both have a decently wide midfoot and toe box, but the toe box itself is like very low in volume, as you guys can see. I think even the new one is lower in volume, trying to line it up with the plastic itself. And yeah, they just feel like very, very low in volume. So I guess that kind of affects sizing, because in terms of sizing, I went half size up in both of these, and I found them to be pretty comfortable. I actually preferred half size up. I think if I went true to size, they would just be too tight, especially because the toe box, like I said, it's very, very low. And so it would just be like squeezing the top part of my toes, which I don't really like. But if you guys like your cleats very tight, then going true to size is a good option. It's just going to be very tight here. In terms of the space, it's going to be okay, maybe all the way to the edge. But like I said, if you like that, then go true to size. If you want something a little bit more comfortable, something with more wiggle space, then go half size up. And in terms of the width, these are both pretty wide. I do have the wide fit variant, and this is actually the normal width, and these fit perfectly to my foot. They are pretty wide, and the upper does a really good job of like forming to the shape of your foot and stretching where it needs to stretch. So for me, going with the standard width version is good. If you have an extremely wide foot, they do have this in a wide fit variant, so go for that. So something that bothered me a lot in the V4 Plus was the heel. Now the heel in the V4 was very like kind of curved in. You guys can see how curved it is. And with the Tequila V5, it is still curved, but not to the same extreme. You guys can see side by side. Hopefully I'm doing a good job, but this one curves a little bit more here, and this one just goes a little bit more straight. And so it's not really digging into my heel. And also with the V5, they added more padding here on top, so you guys can see right here there's padding. And with the V5, I mean V4, there isn't really a lot of padding here. And for me, I think it was the stitching that kind of dug into my heel, and here we don't have that stitching, maybe something really minor all the way on top, but it was more here in the middle, so it actually feels really nice. I really appreciate that change. And there's just a little bit more padding here in the heel compared to the Tequila V4. It's just a bit of a thicker like heel. Even though it is more padding, it doesn't feel chunky. It feels really secure. It feels nice still. Something else that they did change was the heel cup on the inside. It is a bit softer. They kind of cut it lower, just like Nike, and so it's a lot softer. This one, the heel cup went up to here, and so you can't really bend it here. It was flexible here, but that's about it. So this one just feels a little bit more comfortable, not a lot of pressure points. So with the Tequila before, I did find a little bit of rubbing, and it gave me a blister in the beginning. But once I used grip socks with grips up the heel, they felt fine. I was able to wear them. I did feel a pressure point, but it wasn't anything crazy. But I just found it annoying that every time I wanted to wear the Tequila, I had to wear grip socks with grips going up the heel. With the Tequila V5, that isn't an issue. They feel great. Like I had no issues in the playtest, and I've been using these, and they feel fantastic. So in terms of the sole plate, they're basically the same. They haven't really changed anything. The stud layout is the same, where you have these conical studs with these blades on the side, and yeah, they feel exactly the same. The sole plate itself, they're still on the flexible side. They feel fine. They feel exactly the same. I don't really notice much of a difference on feet. They feel, yeah, the same. So if you like the sole plate, or if you already used the Tequila V4, then you'll know what to expect from the Tequila V5 in terms of the sole plate and how responsive or how flexible it is. It's basically the same. All right, so that's basically it in terms of the differences and the similarities between the Tequila V4 Plus and the Tequila V5. So for me, I would pick the Tequila V5 just because the heel is more comfortable. The upper is still soft and pliable, just has more structure, and so it feels good when you're cutting around. It doesn't feel like it's like stretching or just a little bit loose. It feels really nice. Sole plate is the same, but I really like that upper and that change that they made. So that's it for today's video. If you guys have any questions on these two boots, just let me know down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you're notified for future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.